I've seen people compare PIGFACE to Manhunt, and though aesthetically they're really close, I'd say it's a lot more like if you crossed Cruelty Squad with the Condemned games. There aren't executions and takedowns and things of that sort like Manhunt, but it does have a gritty, raw atmosphere, like the first and second games, and the main enemies you fight in the demo for PIGFACE are definitely meant to resemble the Smileys from Manhunt, so I get where the comparisons are coming from. It's a really good game though, at least the demo's good. It's a promising sign of things to come, and it's worth breaking down and exploring with a decent review, I'd say.
Hello, Exit. If it feels like something's been implanted at the base of your skull, that's because there has. I like watching you work, Exit. I knew you'd be a good pick, and I think you know why.
So to start, PIGFACE is a first-person shooter, sort of like an immersive sim. It reminds me of Cruelty Squad, like I said before. You wake up as a woman who has had a bomb implanted in her head after being captured by a mysterious group called the Cleaners. And you're tasked with cleaning up drug dealers and other criminals around the city as lethally as possible. You're given objectives to take care of within a level, and it's up to you as to how you're going to approach them. You're given carte blanche, bring in whatever equipment, masks, weapons you want, so long as you're able to complete the objectives. You can cause as much or as little carnage as you want along the way. So, let's break it down. You get different abilities depending on what mask you're carrying. Right now there's only one mask, and it's useful, but it seems like just a teaser of things to come. The weapons and equipment are where things get really varied. Completing jobs grants you cash, which means you'll probably have to grind the training level or the only level for money, but doing so gets you access to different weapons with more variety. So instead of just the starting revolver or pistol or things like that, you get more exotic options, like a rapid-fire P90 submachine gun, a heavy-duty light machine gun, a hunting rifle, and so on and so forth. You also get different attachments for different weapons. What they have available varies depending on which role they fill. So for instance, the Glock pistol can be outfitted with a silencer and a laser sight. The P90 can get a laser sight, a silencer, and a scope. The hunting rifle can get a scope and a silencer. And it just depends on which ones you want to equip as well. You're given the option before a level to suit up and choose different options for the guns you're carrying, the equipment you're carrying, the melee weapons you're carrying. Even though there's only one level, you can approach it a lot of different ways. It's straightforward. You go to a farm, you're collecting 2 drug samples and 2 files. One from a farmhouse, one from a nearby estate of sorts. And there are a bunch of different gang enemies patrolling the area. You can choose to sneak around them, to quietly take them down with melee hits and silenced weapons, or you can just go ham, just gun down everybody. You could blow stuff up with a grenade launcher, just go full auto, or you could take it down enemies from a distance with a sniper rifle. How you handle it is entirely up to you so long as you get the objectives done. You get a bonus for clearing out all the enemies, but you don't have to do that. You can choose to be as violent or as quiet as you want. And that's rewarding in its own way. It kind of reminds me of Deus Ex, where you didn't have to necessarily kill every enemy you came across, and there'd be different dialogue depending on if you were being more of a pacifist or if you were being more aggressive in your approaches. The way you can tailor your character is pretty cool. You get different outfits that you can choose between. They're cosmetic, but they're cool, like a Payday style outfit with blue gloves, a regular shirt with bandaged hands, one with manicured hands, and other stuff like that. They don't, go out of their way to revolutionize customization, but they're fun. Every little bit of personalization goes a long way, because it doesn't really break the game's style or setting. Speaking of the setting, I like it. I like it a lot, because I'm a fan of Condemn and I'm a fan of Manhunt. This isn't as absurd as Cruelty Squad. It's more down to earth. Everything is grimy. You're in a ruined city with the ruined outskirts of said city. Everything just looks like it's going to crap, and this is reflected in your apartment, the main hub of the game. There are flies everywhere, everything's just dirty. You look out in the distance, you're right beside train tracks, with all the noise that ensues from it. The training level is this very run-down area where you're forced to go through different tasks for this unfeeling, uncaring caller who's planted a bomb in your head. It's a unique and grim setting, and I definitely see where the Manhunt comparisons are coming from. The combat, though, is where I think the Condemned comparisons come in. It's not as melee-driven as Condemned, but aspects of that are still there. You're given slots for a regular gun, a melee weapon, and potentially equipment. With melee weapons, they're divided between larger ones and smaller ones. Smaller ones deal less damage but can be thrown and swing faster. Larger ones swing slower but deal more damage. Enemies don't necessarily die from one hit from a melee weapon. They can be knocked down. Same goes with guns, which means you'll have to sometimes check and double tap enemies, which can add to the grisly atmosphere of the combat. You're making sure enemies stay down, and you gotta do that as ruthlessly as possible, which means that there's sometimes the gore system can be put to use. With high-powered weapons, it's possible to dismember or decapitate enemies. When it comes to guns, it depends on the type of firearm you're using. They can be turned into general all-around weapons through attachments, but they usually serve their own purposes. The pistols are quiet, easy to carry around. They don't slow you down as much as the heavier weapons. The shotgun is good for clearing rooms and stuff like that. The light machine gun is a beast to carry, but you just chews through enemies like it's nobody's business. Your equipment is limited, but it's still interesting. You can carry morphine syringes around since they're your main ways of healing, outside of staying still and recovering some of your health. You could also get a grenade launcher, which can be risky since you can risk doing a lot of damage to yourself, but it can also blow up enemies and clear out areas in spectacular ways. There are landmines, which are tricky to use. I've blown myself up with them, but they don't trigger unless enemies go on them, and it's really satisfying to see a trap you set up actually pay off. This is in addition to, again, the mask abilities and so on. You can't customize melee weapons or equipment, but you can do that for your primary weapon, your firearm. And I like the options for it. Everything feels unique. Since you're sort of aiming down sights, but not really, the laser sight actually comes in handy. The scope for the P90 is kind of hard to see through anyway. So hip firing with a laser sight or when zoomed in can make a big difference. The scope is very useful on the hunting rifle though. Same for a few of the other guns can be applied to. And the suppressor is pretty much what you'd expect it to be. It doesn't perfectly muffle every weapon, but it prevents enemies from a distance from hearing you, which can make stealthier encounters all the better. Outside of all those gameplay mechanics, the enemy AI is pretty decent. It's not anything spectacular. They have the tendency to charge into suicidal odds, like if you're firing an automatic weapon, they might still try to rush you with a melee weapon. But in-universe, the guys you're facing are drug users. So I guess you could hand wave that away by just saying they're completely lost it, and they don't really care about self-preservation. Though, it can be a little annoying to have them just rush around your field of view and start hammering you. The gun enemies do show a little more intelligence, and the stealth system's okay. When enemies spot you, they'll try to alert other enemies and try to round up like a small squad to go after you. It's not perfect, and there are definite flaws in the way it is carried out, but it gives enemies some intelligence. They aren't dumb, they aren't just waiting to walk into your bullets and so on. And the challenge they provide is interesting enough. I'd like to talk more about what the game has on tap. It seems really promising, just there isn't a ton of content in the demo. Again, only 2 levels, the tutorial and the main farm level. I thought there would be more out of it. And don't get me wrong, the farm is a very replayable level. I went back to it a lot of times, not just to grind the cash for all the attachments, but to try my hand at approaching in different ways. Like stealthing it, or trying to pick enemies off from a distance, and everything like that. You can have a lot of fun with it if you just let your imagination go, and you just try to take it out in the most creative way possible, or approach it in a completely unique way, like only using melee weapons, or trying to remain undetected. But there's only one level to really experiment with, since the tutorial does give you a cash reward, but it's still pretty on rails. It's promising though. PIGFACE has a lot of good aspects to it. It feels fresh, it feels innovative, it's a fun, immersive sim sort of game, where how you handle an assignment is really up to you. And games like that aren't that common, so I appreciate it when that sort of opportunity is on the table without it being some padded out open world game. PIGFACE is doing its own thing, and I'm eager to see what comes of it, with mask abilities especially, since there's only really one option for that. The armor options are nice too, and I'd imagine those will be expanded on as well. I'm not sure when PIGFACE is coming out, but the demo feels like a good vertical slice, so to speak, showcasing the game's mechanics and abilities in an independent way, in a way that doesn't require the rest of the game to make happen. I wish the developer of it the best of luck, as I really enjoyed the demo. And all those times I went back to experiment with the different weapons and attachments and everything else, well, they turned out to be a lot of fun. And I enjoyed some of the goofier ways that you could tackle things, like chucking your melee weapon around and stuff like that. Thanks for watching. Hope you all give PIGFACE a try, and I'm looking forward to what comes of this. Maybe it'll be like Angerfoot, where that had a really good demo and it went on to be a really good game on its own rights. Have a good one.